Thinking of cashing out your flat with HDB Lease Buyback Scheme? Stop! One HDB rule could wipe out the inheritance you thought you were leaving behind. Many people think they will get a tidy sum and a lifelong payout, but what they don't tell you is how the 15 to 35 years lease lock you into a decision you cannot undo. Hi, I'm Caleb, a Singapore property agent who's counseled senior households on retirement options. In this video, I'll break down in plain English how lease buyback scheme money really flows, the exact moment it makes sense, and 3 traps that other families wish they spotted earlier. Before you sign anything, grab a notebook and jot down your current CPF RA balance. By the end, you will know whether this buyback scheme puts an extra 100,000 in your pocket or quietly drain your flat's futures value. Ready? Let's dive right in. Don't do HDB lease buyback until you watch this video. Let's get right into it. So what is this lease buyback scheme by HDB? So it is a scheme by HDB for elderly flat HDB owners 65 and above to sell part of their remaining lease back to HDB. So you continue living in a flat for the rest of your life until the day you pass on. In return, you receive the money upfront. So part in cash and part goes into your CPF RA account. So the CPF RA savings then go into your CPF LIFE, which pays a monthly income for life to you. So who is the people that is eligible for it? First, you must be at least 65 years and above. You must at least have one Singapore citizen, and you do not have an income less than 14,000. And it's applicable for all flats except HUDC executive condos. So all the HDB is allowed. So, and you do not have any other private residential property, and you cannot have more than one non-residential private property, meaning to say that you cannot have 2 shops, 3 shops, or 2 industrials, 3 industrials property. Okay, and all owners must have lived in the flat for 5 years, meaning to say you meet your MOP already, and you at least have 20 years of lease left to sell to HDB. How you get monies from the lease buyback scheme? So you sell part of it of your lease back to HDB. The important thing is that you need to sell between 15 to 35. It must at least cover you up to 95 years old. And the proceeds will be divided based on the shareholding. If you are someone that owns 70% and 30% your wife, then you will get the apportioned amount itself. But if it's a joint tenancy, it'll be 50-50. So the older you are, the less lease you need to keep. So which means to say there's more money for you to get at the end of the day. So it's based on this chart. If let's say you're 65 to 69, you need to retain this 30 years. If it is 70 to 74, you need minimum retain 24. So the remainder can be sold back to HDB itself. So subsequently, this amount will be used, the amount that they sell to you, right, will be used to top up back to your CPF retirement. So imagine today you sell at 190,000. Then this 190,000 will be used to meet your full retirement sum up to 213,000 if there's only one owner. But if there's 2 owners, it is to top up to each your basic retirement sum of 106,500. So basically, as it depends on your age, like let's say 65 to 69, it'll be if there is one owner, then it'll be 213,000. If you currently already have 150,000 inside, then it's only that $63,000 to be used to top back up to your full retirement sum. And for this, later I'll give you an example of how it looks like as well. So for this, you will also get a bonus from HDB if you top up to your RA more than 60,000. If you're selling part of the lease back to HDB, a 3-room, you will get a maximum bonus of 30,000, a 4-room 15,000, and 5-room or bigger you get $7,500. This is on top of how much they pay you for the lease that you sell to them. Okay, and this criteria is only if you top up your RA more than 60,000. If you top less than 60,000, this bonus will be prorated. So how it's calculated on this bonus is that if it is less than 60,000, for every $2 that you top back up to your RA, you receive $1 if it is a 3-room or smaller flat. But if it is a 4-room, then it's for every $4 you top up, then you get back $1. Let's say, for example, you top up 40,000, then you will only receive back you receive a bonus of $10,000. So the first deduction is always back to your CPF RA. Then the remainder will come back to you as cash. Up to $100,000 you are able to keep as cash per household. Any more you must further top up to your CPF before you keep the additional cash. Now I have an example for you so that you can see clearly how it works. So imagine today you are a couple, both age 65, and you own a 4-room flat that has 65 years lease left. And its market value of 450,000. So you decide to do so, a valuer will come down to assess the property value and how much you can get. So they value the house already, you retain 30 years and you sell back to HDB at 35 years. HDB gives you 190,000. So how this 190,000 will split? So because your husband only has 20,000 in the RA before topping it up, so he needs to top up 86,500 to meet the $106,500, which is the basic retirement sum. The wife currently has 15,000. It needs 91,500 to reach the $106,500. So basically, the total amount topped up is about 178,000 back into your RA. 190,000 minus away 86,500 minus away 91,500, you are left with 12,000. Okay, 190 minus away 86,005 minus away 91,005. This goes back into your CPF RA. You are left with $12,000. So this $12,000 will be given to you as cash. Apart from this 12,000, you will still get the $15,000 bonus. So total, you will get back about $27,000 in cash, and you get money top up into your CPF RA. Okay, and you start enjoying the CPF Life payout as well. If this video helps you think clearer about lease buyback scheme, go ahead and tap the like and subscribe button. It really helps more families see this video. Okay, so this is the example that I showed to you. We sell 35 years lease back to HDB at 190,000. Each owner receives 95,000, and then you need to top up your CPF RA, your current amount, and subsequently because of that you receive back a $12,000 and you receive another 15,000 cash bonus from HDB to take advantage of this program. So there is other scenarios at play. If the net proceed is less than the required top up amount, the full amount goes into RA, meaning you say you don't get cash at all. So what do I mean by this? If your net proceeds is only $100,000, but the required top up amount is $150,000, so the whole $100,000 will go into your RA at the end of the day. So you don't get cash at the end of the day, but you get the cash bonus depending on which room type you are. So however, if the net proceed is more than the required top up, you only think you top up the requirement amount, which is similar to our example just now. The total amount that needed to top up is 178,000. You only top up the 178 and you get back the 12K. Okay, you only top up the requirement amount. The extra proceed, if the total is more than 100K, the further RA top up will be required. But if it is less than 100K, you get to keep the cash. For example, the net proceeds is 120K. The required top up amount is 70K. You get to keep the 50K balance in cash. However, if the net proceeds is 180K, but the required top up is only 70K, the balance 110K, its balance is 110K. 100K you can keep in cash. 10K must be top up again to CPF RA. So total top up in this scenario will be 70 plus 10, total 80K. So what if you end the lease earlier? So you must return the flat back to HDB because you have officially sold the property back to HDB already. And then what will HDB do? You receive back a prorated refund amount. Okay, because you have sold some of your lease, the remainder amount, let's say the 30 years, you've used up another 10 years, so you receive back the 20 years prorated leftover balance. So CPF Life will continue to pay out at the end of the day as well. So what if you outlive the lease? So you sold the lease to HDB, you only have left 30 years, but you live more than 30 years, you live 40 years. So you will not be homeless, definitely. HDB will help you find the housing but not guaranteed to remain the same flat. So there's a possibility that you might be shifted to somewhere else, but you will not be homeless. Okay, so what if you pass away before the lease ends? So your spouse or the child can continue living there if they are eligible to continue on, or else the flat will be returned back to HDB and you get the refund of the unutilized lease period as well. So, and that's also a prorated basis. So unused CPF LIFE premium will be refunded back to your CPF account and you distribute again according to intestate rules. Meaning to say that if let's say you only have one wife, one kid, each one will get 50-50. If you have one wife, two kids, the wife will get 50, the two kids will get 25-25 each. So that's how the intestate succession tax works. Alright, or if you have nominated, then you'll follow your nominations. So the owner's responsibility, of course, you have to continue paying all your taxes and charges, and you cannot rent out your property anymore. You cannot transfer or you cannot sell the property without any flat HDB approval, because it technically belongs back to HDB already. And you must maintain the flat and get HDB approval for any renovations and stuff like that also. So when does it really make sense to go into this LBS? So it's good for people who are seniors with no income or pension, and you have no children to inherit the flat at the end of the day, because once you pass on, no one wants to inherit the flat anymore. And your flat is older, you have 40 to 50 years lease left, so it's quite strategic for you to just sell the tail end of the lease left. And for elderlies who want to age in place and don't want tenants or people to disturb or don't want to downgrade to a smaller property, they like their current place that they are staying. And for elderlies who don't understand investments and just want a safe monthly income from the CPF LIFE. So when does it really not make sense at the end of the day? It's not ideal for someone who has flats with very long lease, 70, 80 years or 60 years even, because it's much more worthwhile for you to hold it and eventually sell it for a profit and downgrade down to a two-room flat if needed. And those wanting to leave the flat to the children, because if you go into this scheme, what your beneficiary will receive at the end of it is just a prorated version. But if you do not do this, your beneficiaries could inherit the flat and choose to continue staying there, or choose to sell the property to get the capital appreciation or get the capital amount as well. And for people who are expecting the flat to increase, because once you do this LBS, whatever property appreciations will no longer be in effect on you, because you cannot sell to the public anymore. You only can sell back to HDB, and only HDB has the right to resell it eventually. And household with other retirement funding options is not necessary for you to do this at the end of the day. I would say it's much more ideal for people who do not have much money in their CPF RA, and using this option, they are able to get much more higher money from their CPF LIFE income to supplement their retirement purposes. So my concerns at the end of the day for people who want to do this is that this lease buyback scheme is actually a short-term gain, because at the end of the day, there is quite a long-term loss if you were to do so. Because if you were to sell a longer lease period, you are getting the cash upfront, but actually the capital appreciation might be even much more than whatever cash upfront you are getting. So, and once you have done it, you cannot resell it in the open market anymore. Any capital appreciation is no longer your benefit anymore. So, and your flat may still be valuable in 35 years, especially in mature estates. So you do such a situation, it is jeopardizing your future if you want to leave the money to your descendants. And your flat becomes locked in, you want to move to another location, it's not possible also. You want to, you only can surrender the flat, and maybe the amount that you get back is much more lesser than if you were to sell it in the open market. Like for example, you do it right now, it's a 4-room, but in another 10 years you find that this place is too big for you guys, you want to downgrade to a 2-room flat. Then the amount that you get back is just a prorated version compared to the 2-room flat, which have appreciated in prices, which might not make sense for you as well. So, and you may feel like the government is taking your home bit by bit, because as you grow older and the lease becomes shorter and you eventually do not have much equity in the house as well. So if you are planning for retirement or helping your parents make smart property moves, subscribe. I cover CPF downsizing and property strategy every single week. Other alternatives to consider will be you can rent out a room. Is still allowed in under this scheme as well. And then you, apart from this LBS, you can consider selling and downgrading to a two-room flexi flat. That's also a possibility because you unlock the full capital of the property also. And you can consider living with kids and then renting out your this flat and get a better returns at the end of the day. And if there is family supports the elderly, you can consider retaining the flat as well. And some people want to wait for en blocs or SIRS, even though it's quite rare. Yeah, that's also another possibility as well. And you do nothing and you keep the property for long-term appreciation. That's also another benefits as well. So final takeaway, LBS works best for you if you don't need to leave a flat to your family and you don't want the hassle at the end of the day as well. And you want a simple, stable income right now, because once you do this, you get a monthly income from the CPF Life. But if you still have a long lease, it's not advisable. I wouldn't advise you to do so. And you have a family support for this entire housing arrangement for your retirement, is not necessary, and you value long-term resale value instead of or inheritance to the next generation, it's not wise also to do so. So LBS may not be worth it. Is your family considering this lease buyback or already did it? Let me know the thoughts or questions below. I reply to every single comment. And if you are thinking about selling or buying another property after age 55, there's a CPF rule that most people miss that could mess up your entire plan. Click this next video to avoid a 5-figure mistake. I break it all down with examples.